Very good morning. We have few more viewers joining. We have a very interesting topic today. I opened my video so that we can all see each other. Hello guys. A warm good morning. I believe all of you are really there. In India, it's afternoon. Good afternoon to all. We are here today for a very interesting topic, and this is basically a burning topic right now in our society. Is it audible to all of you? Today, we basically are here to understand that how exactly we can handle this ongoing depression, because it is estimated that as per the World Health Organization's report, that 1 million people die every year out of depression. Or we can say that we are all suffering, most of them are suffering from depression, but we are not aware of that. So what exactly we can do? So today we are here to discuss about this interesting topic. What is depression? What are the signs of depression? And what causes depression? And how exactly we are going to treat this problem of depression? And if somebody is really suffering from depression, how to identify that? And what exactly are the reasons which triggers the fact of suicide or the early sign of suicide? And how exactly we can eradicate the idea of self-killing or self-destruction from a person's mind? How I can help a depressed person, or how you can help a depressed person in the society, right? So we basically are going to discuss about the common causes. We are also going to discuss the medical part of depression, how exactly we are going to handle it. So I would really appreciate if you all can join me. We are going to discuss today that how we can lend an ear, because we often get busy in our daily life and we really don't have time to listen to others. We are getting so much busy in our competition. We are getting so much busy in our day-to-day challenges that we really do not have time to listen to others. And possibly, if you see, the most of the cases of suicide or the cases of depression which we hear are often between the age of 14 to 44 or 45 age. Globally, it has been seen. And the biggest concern is today, after this, the pandemic. Now, this pandemic is ongoing in most of the countries today. I can see that people are talking very less to each other. What do you think? So I think that people are isolated more, and people are not able to confide themselves. People are not able to open up their mind. And for this particular reason, people are getting more and more intense. And due to this intense thinking, what has happened is more and more people are getting depressed. And if you really try to identify that the biological basis of this particular intensification of mind is nothing but chemical imbalance. And this chemical imbalance is actually forcing us to think in a very single-minded window. Now, what I mean by single-minded window here, now we generally know that our behavior is always influenced by the thoughts and, of course, the physiological activity. Now, generally, during this lockdown phase, what has happened that most of us are aloof from our usual activities. So if somebody is going to school or somebody is going to some institution, if I say someone is going to office, someone is going to business, and all the general activities and social activities are completely stopped. And due to this confinement, what has happened that we are basically finding a common tendency among people that they are getting monotonous, they're feeling monotonous, they're getting locked into their secured zone, maybe into their room where they are basically living, the house they are living, and automatically they're coming into some kind of depression. And the interesting fact about depression is that when depression really causes, people doesn't even know that they are basically depressed. And we really do not find someone who is really ready to listen to us and who really want to you know, share some suggestions or whom we can confide to, because most of the time when people are suffering from depression, we do not find somebody to whom I can confide or with someone whom I can share. So what exactly is the basic reason? So I said two reasons here. One is the social reason. Of course, with the current situation, what I can see is like a lot of people are getting aloof from their usual activities. So that is one of the reasons, the behavioral reason, physiological reason. And the third is definitely, of course, the spiritual reason. Now, you might ask me that, is it necessary to become spiritual? Now, I will tell you that it is not about necessity, it is about your priority. Because today, if you ask me, most of the people are very much concerned about their career, their future, since we are going through some uncertain times, some turbulence. So we all are basically thinking that possibly this is a time when we are going to go through a very difficult phase, and maybe tomorrow we will have a better time or not. We are really not aware of it. Now that is the beginning of the depressive thought. So that means if somebody is going through this phase and might think that this is the end of my career, end of my job, end of my life, and I'm not going to achieve something, so this feeling itself triggers depression. Now, what exactly we can do? That is the important question. Or how we can really help somebody who is depressive. Because the first thing is, the signs of depression is somebody when he is talking about failure, somebody when he is talking about not getting something in life. Take an example. Someone who is locked during this confinement is probably getting, isolated, probably deprived of certain opportunities or some resources, someone who has got recently unemployed or who is already unemployed since lockdown or before lockdown. So in that case, it builds up some amount of mental pressure. And this mental pressure somewhere is also impacting his or her social and personal life. And that thing is also visible by his or her family members, friends, and the people around us. Now, what we really need to do is, in this situation, we should try to take out this frustrations, take out this, maybe the ideas which we have in our mind should be shared with others. We should share our concerns. And many a times when we find these indications that someone is talking very weird, someone is really trying to say that I'm not really interested in living further, or maybe some people are talking very emotional, so we have to take it seriously. It is time that we have to be patient and listening to others, because the problem today in our society is we are all busy in giving advice. So God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should not forget that we should listen more to others. So I believe this is one of the things which should be very important, that we should start lending our ear to our friends and dear ones and understand that what exactly are the emotions. Let them confide themselves. And if we can do that, we will see that most of the problem can be slowly solved. Now, as I'm talking about biological, the particular reason that how exactly the biological basis triggers this particular fact of depression, we know that there are 3 parts of the brain. It has been seen that there are certain, facts which we do, which are basically stored in our mind. So the neurotransmitters, which are basically responsible to causing depression, that is norepinephrine and serotonin, these 2 particular hormonal imbalances sometimes cause too much of depressive thoughts. And it has been seen that by giving antidepressive medicine, this can be handled easily. Now, someone who may have some traumatic past, someone who may have come out of illness, someone who has come through certain personal setback, maybe someone has died in the society, and many times what we hear around us, because right now, due to this pandemic, we are hearing a lot of deaths, a lot of negative things going around us. So it is really an important duty for most of us to build a positivity around us, build a level of positive aura, which basically make us feel that we are going to live a hopeful life, because the other name of life is hope. We should not forget that. And for that, we should always try to interact around our parents, around our people, because these days, a lot of people are here who do not want to share their feelings, or they do not want to come out with their thoughts. And we are so much materialistic and ambitious today that we really have lost the interest of talking with each other. However, in this digital world, we have got so many gadgets, so many, social sites and apps through which we can always engage ourselves. So I have seen, like, these days, particularly either we are talking about the youngsters or the middle-aged people, they are more interested in engaging themselves in their mobile phones or their whatever handheld devices or laptops or whatever gadgets they have. And in this practice, somehow we are so much engrossed that we do not get the time to talk to each other. So I have seen people who are living under the same roof, they are talking with themselves through WhatsApp, through Messenger, through Facebook, and we have lost this social contact. So somehow we have to understand these smartphones are making us unsmart. So this is the time when we have to think very logically and very sensibly. We have to understand that what exactly we are doing, which is taking us to that particular problem of depression. Now, coming down to the second fact, that when we are defeated in life, now what is a defeat actually? When we are not achieving something, when we could not get some success, we consider this as a defeat. Life is just like a game of cricket. If you basically see any cricket match, you will find that when a batsman goes to the pavilion into the striking end, a batsman cannot score from every ball. In some ball, he has to play a defensive shot. In some ball, he has to play a stroke. And in some ball, he might go for a straight drive and get a sixer or a boundary. But some balls can be a bouncer. And maybe some balls are there which he cannot even manage to play. So there he is to know that how to duck, how exactly to leave those balls. And life is also like such opportunity of playing cricket, where we would find that a lot of challenges are there, lot of situations are there, where we are constantly getting lot of deliveries, and those deliveries are nothing but the situations of life. So some situations are there where we have to play confidently, some situations where we have to simply duck to save ourselves. And the good part in life is that it is not necessary to play all the balls. There is no wicket keeper sitting behind us who is going to catch the ball. So some balls we can leave. So my friends, we have to tell this thing to our young people in our home, to the children at our home. And if you are really listening it for yourself, I would like to tell you that in life, we have to understand that there are many things keep on happening, but we need not always take everything very seriously. Certain opportunities are there which will go off, and we have to simply let it go. Because right now, you imagine, due to this current pandemic, most of our lives have come to standstill. We are not going to schools, we are not going to college, we are not going to our offices, businesses, or other workplaces. But what has happened? Life has stopped. Our living has finished. Not really. We are still living. We are hopeful. And we are very positive, and we know that very soon we will be winning over this pandemic, and we will again start living normally. And in many places, we have already started our activities. But we have to be careful, definitely. We have to remain watchful so that we don't get infected. But at the same time, if you are still isolated, and if you are thinking that I will withdraw myself from everything, I will disconnect myself from everything. That is not the solution. And most of the time, it has been seen that people who commit suicide out of depression, because it has been seen that the major number of depression worldwide is caused by depression. The largest number of people who are dying in world today is due to suicide. So we can see that this suicidal tendency is actually a kind of a mental frame, because people who really commit suicide, they become very single-minded. For them, this is perhaps a solution for a very temporary reason. So it's a permanent solution to a temporary solution. So it's a kind of a notion of a mind when someone thinks of self-destruction, that if I really destroy myself, my particular problem, my complex, or whatever the trouble the person is going through is going to be an end. But this is not really a solution. We need to understand at this juncture of our life that this particular suicide is a kind of impulsive behavior of a person which forces him to take that action, and naturally it is never a solution, and this problem is passing on to the people who live behind us. So this is how it transcends. So it transcends from the person who does the act to the people behind him and to the afterwards. And it has been seen that this impulsive behavior can be stopped among people when we really try to go for group talks, when we go for family discussions, and we interact. And when we listen to others, we will see that some people, when they talk about finishing themselves, or maybe, I have seen in peer groups, a lot of youngsters, they often talk, they couldn't get something, they say that, hey, I'm going to finish myself. Oh, that's end of life. So when people say these things very lightly, we should not take it so, taking it very lightly, because I have seen that people take the word very lightly, and as a result, most of the people are feeling some kind of mental agony. If you want to come out of this mental agony, we have to start taking this kind of talks very seriously. Maybe these are the very initial indications that the person is going in depression. And if we find someone is going in that talk, that kind of interactions, we have to understand that probably the person is trying to ask for help. Probably the person wants to confide. Probably the person wants to share his or her emotions. And it is really an important responsibility for us to interact and listen. Now, you can ask me that this depression or this particular trauma, is it only for the, the adults? No, it is also for the youngers, for the small children. You will see that when our, when we grow up, we gradually go through different experiences, and our mind is like a register which basically records information. So you will see that when I, for example, let us do an experiment today. I'm going to tell a particular word, and you try to immediately try to connect or relate it with a particular experience. For example, I say rose. So what happens when I say rose? You immediately connect it with some good feelings. Of course, a red color rose is coming in your mind. Okay, the next word is cake. So you immediately relate the cake with, it could be a birthday cake, it could be some celebration. So that means that there are certain words which we use, which can trigger certain facts around us. So this is actually a very simple example, my friend. This is a process where we try to relate the words around us, what we hear. So our mind actually, scientifically speaking, has been defined into reactive and active part. So when we talk about this good facts, always our active part of mind responds. And when we talk about some bad things, for example, accident, death, suicide, these are the words which triggers the reactive mind. But do you know an interesting fact? The interesting fact is that most of us remember the reactive incidences. We do not remember the happiest memories. We do not remember the good things often. We remember rather those bad things which happens with us. And that aggravates the depression silently in our mind. So I keep my session brief here because I know that others would like to speak. So I would give a chance to others if you also have certain things to share or if you have any questions. Hello, I would like to, ask to unmute if you could come back. Sanjit? Ankur? Hello, am I audible to you? I don't know what exactly is happening today. I couldn't hear none of the viewers. Hello? 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 I would basically request my viewers if they basically have certain points to be made and if they have any questions. Hello? Hello? Somebody is saying you are visible but not audible. Okay. But then I cannot hear you all. I cannot see even Ankur also. Ankur has blocked his video. Devdut, you are also not audible to me. You have also muted. Shudipto, you're also not visible and audible. So if you could say something. I'm sure you have all listened to my deliberation and you would like to share your points. So I would request, there are 10 participants right now in the show. Hi Reet, I can also see you are there today. Welcome. Govindo, welcome you to the session today. Shailesh is there. Urna is there. So all viewers are here today, but I would really request if you could say something. Because, this interaction is incomplete unless and until we talk and we share our ideas. Because I just shared certain ideas which I felt is important at this hour. So I wanted to listen from you that what exactly are your emotional experiences and what exactly you are feeling. That was actually a challenge. Hi, Shudipto.
Hi. Actually, I have started talking, but you are not able to hear me
exactly. So for a moment, I was feeling like Friday. You know that story of Friday? So I was feeling that I'm isolated in an island and I was not being able to speak to anyone in this world. So this is also one of the reasons why a person can go to depression. So this is one of the practical example to you. So this is how it happens that you go live in a session, you start interacting, and you do not get the responses from people. So it puts you into a kind of a mental thought that you are not being audible. So when you see, this is one of the greatest example, you are not audible and people doesn't respond to you, people do not really pay their attention to you, and that is when people start going into a negative frame of mind. So possibly we can understand that this is also one of the reasons. However, it is very sensitive, very sophisticated, but we should pay attention because our mind is like a bowl of water, right? So if you basically ask somebody to balance a bowl of water and walk with that water, you will see that he has to concentrate a lot. But when there is a little, disbalance, the water will either, it will split out of the particular bowl. And when the water will fall, it will basically create some ripples. So mind also is similarly behaving in that nature, that there are so many incidences happening which leaves some kind of ripples in our mind. And somehow or the other, it gives us a kind of signal that we have to impulse it. So maybe the impulses or the behaviors, the psychological changes, whichever we see, are because of the reason that it somehow triggers this fact, the emotional factors, right? So which basically forces us to take some kind of decisions, which sometimes could be, logical and sometimes illogical. And the most worst part is the thing which we think is logical, maybe illogical, because we are saying it from our perspective. So right now, maybe I have got a particular defeat. It is pushing me in a kind of a mental frame that it is the right thing for me to do. But maybe after 2 hours, when you ask me that whether it is the right thing for me to do, I will say that no, probably it was not the right thing for me. So many times, people who goes into depression, if we really start talking to them, if we really start listening to them, I think more is listening is required. Because right now, if you see globally, a lot of people are busy in talking, but very few are ready to listen. And if you listen to others, whether it is your wife, whether it is your girlfriend, whether it is your boyfriend, your children, you have to listen to them. And the more we listen, we understand that what exactly are the emotional crises. Though we are very educated, we are all living in a socialized, so-called socialized world, but still we are actually living in some pockets. And unless and until we try to come out of these pockets, or we help each other to come out of the pockets, we'll not be living a very positive world. I would just like to tell you a village story. You must have seen that the villagers used to catch the crabs. So if you have ever gone to village, you have seen the crabs. They used to catch the crabs in a box. So when they catch the crab is in an open box, which is made out of bamboo sticks and all. And when they catch a crab, they keep on putting the crab one after another. The interesting thing is that if one crab tries, it can come out of the box. But unfortunately, when one crab tries to come out, the other crab tries to pull it by its leg. So this is exactly, my friend, the example of our society today. And typically, which we call as crab mentality. So when we see that somebody is trying desperately, very personally, he's trying to struggle within himself and come out, we are somehow not happy seeing that fact. We would do something by which that person will again fall back. That is what we are really good in doing. And when someone is really trying to struggle and somehow give some indications that I really I'm tired, I'm fed up of my life, and I want to really close all the doors, we really do not go to ask that why you're closing the doors. So someone is closing doors behind me, I just say that, okay, let him close doors, let him go to hell. Let him suffer, let him go in his own fate. It's not mine. But you should understand, whether it is your child, whether we are talking about a friend, whether we are talking about a colleague, whether we are talking about the people around us, we have to see that we all are each other's responsibility. We all are living for each other. We should not forget that we are in a society. So maybe we are meeting our watchman, we are meeting our maid, we are talking to our colleague, we are talking to our family persons. Each and every person is knitted in a close binding of emotion, right? So, and that is why, due to this pandemic, when we are locked in our confinement zones, we have become suddenly very desperate, because we are not getting the opportunity to talk to people. We are not getting the opportunity to, do our regular work, maintain our relationship. And that is why we are really finding it tough that how soon we can come out. And we start doing the same thing. That is why, because we are social animals. You cannot confine us in a cage, right? So I think this is an indication that this is how the depression grows in our mind. And the solution, as I said, that we should start lending our ear, we should start talking to them. And scientifically, there are certain things which you can do, which I'm going to tell you that most of the time, the bipolar disorder, which basically is one of the reasons of suicide, is basically for the fact that we never know that the bipolar disorder exists in me or any of us, but it can be there. So the first thing is, we have to categorize it in two ways. We have to identify that how many people around us, or who are the people even in our family, who comes with a background of trauma. Now that trauma could be of prolonged illness, that trauma could be of some social stigma, that trauma could be of some kind of personal crisis. Maybe someone has lost some dear one in the family. Maybe even 10 years back, 20 years back. Remember, everyone's brain does not work in the same manner. The hippocampus part of our mind, which is the central part, which is capturing this all activity. Prefrontal cortex is basically taking the temporary initiative, and amygdala, which is basically capturing the information which are reactive parts. So we have to understand that which particular part of the mind is reactive. So everybody's brain is not behaving in the same way, my friend. So the psychology is not same for all. So what I remember for a short term, another person can remember for another 5 years. Or I can forget it even after 1 week. Like, this is very unfortunate that last Sunday we lost one of our favorite actor, Sushant Singh Rajput. Probably we thought that maybe this is one of the reasons why I should come for this session. And just within 7 days we come for a session like this. But I really didn't intend to talk about that wrong incidents, or I really do not support that particular incidents. There could be so many reasons now, so many inquiries, investigations are going on. We are trying to do the post-morteming of the fact that why that talented actor is not today among us, why he has to take such a drastic decision. And it is very coincidental that last week also we were in some kind of discussion related to immunity. Many of you are also part of it, immunity against COVID. And just 7 days back we are discussing, but we have to understand that this is not a particular fact we are discussing because of this particular incident. This is one of the social issues which was there, which will be there. So it is not about someone's death that we suddenly start making a video, suddenly start making a discussion, and then we forget it tomorrow. This is a social cause, because we are living in a society, my friends, that we have to understand, unless and until we start addressing this problem, this will not end up. So maybe today, what is our notion in the society that, okay, we see the kids, so the kids are younger, their minds are not mature. So we have to understand that they can also think in the same manner the way you think. So if you say sometimes rudely something to your child or to a younger one in the family, do not think that they are going to be passive. Their mind is equally responding. And who knows, it can trigger some kind of impulse, which will force the person to take some drastic action, right? So you never know that where you are throwing the stone, because every time you say something, it is like throwing the stone in water. And when we say something, it always leaves some ripples around us. Right, my friends? So I basically would like to ask questions from you, because you may have some questions, and after that, if you have further discussion, we'll do. So the forum is yours. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, I think you have already discussed about the how to beat the mental illness or this depression mode as well.
Right.
So definitely we need to speak up for a few of the things. But one thing, those who are actually an introvert person, so there are a lot of people those actually not able to speak up on maybe there are certain reasons, certain incidents as well. So what would be the basic solution for them, and how they will overcome that kind of a situation?
Yeah, it's very good question, Sudipto. See, basically those who are introvert and shy, being introvert is a kind of a nature. But why the person is introvert, first of all, if we try to understand, maybe it is from since his or her birth, or because of the social reasons, the peers around him, or the kind of environment in which the person has grown up so far. So if we find or identify such introvert people around us, the first thing we have to do is we have to always create some incidences of happiness and some situations for which the persons will get involved into it. Because as I said, that whenever we meet people, we are always busy in talking and giving advice. So if we find some introvert people, create some activities for which the person can speak, and which could be even a friendly cup of tea or coffee, which could be even some kind of interactions in the room, which can be like going into some kind of games, which can be going into some kind of interactions where we can make that person join us. And when we start talking to each other, many things we come to know. So this is the first thing. And the second thing, my friend, that if somebody is introvert, we have to understand that what is the basis of that shyness. Because some people are shy because they are too much concerned. They are thinking that if I speak, I will be, humiliated, or I would be wrong in my way of delivery. So that's why they don't like to speak. Right? Today, many a times we are having a language barrier. We are having sometimes like emotional barriers. We are sometimes having the social barriers. Right? So these barriers are somewhere pulling us down. So we might think that, okay, if I speak, I will be judged by people. So we have to stop being judgmental. We basically today are busy in this globalized and high-tech world. We get easily very judgmental. Oh, this person has not dressed well. He or she is like that. He or she cannot utter the words, or he cannot speak up. He or she is like that. He comes from a village. He's like that. So this kind of preemptive thoughts are very dangerous. My friend. So, I was just going through certain videos where a person was telling that a student, like, I give you a small story. Two students come to the class, and one student comes from a very affluent family. The teacher said that, okay, so you come from an affluent family, so I believe that you come with so and so ideas and information with you, and someone who is coming from a little offbeat family, you may not have. So the teacher asked a question that, what you have in tiffin? The first student said that I have got sandwiches and burger. The teacher says, okay, very good. The second student was asked the same question, that what do you have in tiffin? And the student couldn't reply, because he started comparing himself, that he said sandwich, but I have got chapati and maybe, onion, or maybe some potato fry. How could I say that? So that is where the comparison starts. And probably that fellow is right also. Even if we say that, the teacher is also going to humiliate him. So this is where from the stress is coming. So when we find, somebody introvert around us, or someone who is shy, we really do not help them. We rather push them further to become more introvert and more shy. So if you see somebody who is shy, somebody who is little passive, give a smile. This is a 5-letter word which you all have. Smile, friendly smile. Go near to the person. Show the compassion. Give them some indication that the person can talk. You see, the good thing is that they are at least having the capacity to talk. You think of the animals, those, the creatures who cannot even express themselves with talking. They can express themselves with their feeling. Many of you have got pups, dogs in their houses, or any other pets. You see that how much you are emotionally minded, so how they express themselves. So it is not only about human beings, even animals can also go under depression, my friends. So this is how we have to be very open. We have to be friendly towards every creature. God has created all of us in the same bliss and same, the equal, see the magnificence. So we all have to live up to that. Right?
Right. Thank you.
Any other question?
I would like to say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, please.
Yeah. The main thing is that nowadays, not particularly if I say nowadays, before also, the main reason of depression I feel starts from home itself.
Exactly.
Because parents, I don't know, I have been brought up in such a environment where I have never been forced or never have been compared to anybody saying that that person is doing this, that child is doing this. But I think this is one of the biggest reason why depression starts at home, that they have been continuously be judged by people and been saying that this people is doing this, you are not capable enough for doing this. So this is one of the biggest point. And second thing is, depression is such a thing that most of the smiling faces are hiding that inside them.
True.
So my point is, main thing in solving this problem is to make that person realize first is what are the myths about depression. And the
Mhm.
biggest myth is that that is in your mind, and this is completely wrong, because I feel depression is such a thing that any person can be harmed or any person can be damaged at any point of their life,
True.
irrelevant of what designation they are working, irrelevant of what cultures they are, irrelevant of what age they are, and it doesn't matter what environment you are in. But depression is such a thing that is it is like we are putting a seed in a soil, and that is how the depression starts, from small bits of incidents.
Absolutely.
So I would like to say that the main first step in making people realize that what depression is and what are the myths, and this is not something that can only be solved through medicines, because the main medicine is the support of the environment we are in. Main support is the parents and the peers which we are with. And social media is one of the biggest reason of depression, because
True.
now social media is somewhat like showing the status of every person. See, I have purchased this, see, I have done that, because
Correct.
I too have gone myself through this phase, and I cannot deny that I'm completely free of depression, because still now it happens that I feel so depressed. And this is not just one phase we are going through, it is an entire process which is very difficult to remove it out of the root of everybody's life. So I have faced this thing, like I was basically studying in a missionary convent school, and my
Mhm.
batchmates are most of them are abroad and they are doing
Hmm.
very good jobs.
Hmm.
Some of them are doctors, some of them are
Hmm.
engineers, and me myself being in a career of engineer and then changing into HR, and this whole thing has made me think about myself, that end of the day, what am I, what have I done? And
Correct.
even though I have got such good parents, I've got such good people to pat me, but still I feel that I am not uh, this is not what I should be doing. I should be doing much more. I should be giving them back much more. So these are some of the symptoms I think the people facing depression should be made aware of, because people are not aware of themselves that I am in depression. Nobody will say that I
Yeah.
am in
Yeah.
depression, but it is the duty of the people who love them that this is the things you should be aware of, and they should be always be said that this is not the end, and you can do this, this too shall pass. This is not just some phases to be
Yeah.
mentioned in poetry, but this should be applied in the real life. So I think this is one of the point how we can help the people going through depression.
Yeah, and another one thing I would like to add, you rightly pointed out that we are all somehow or the other suffering from depression, but we couldn't express it. But I think at the same time, we also should try to build up our spiritual corner very strongly, because gradually when we grow up in the family, we see that we try to develop the emotional dimension, we try to develop the physical dimension, we try to develop our educational dimension, but we do not work on the spiritual dimension. So whichever the religion or the school of thoughts we come from, we should try to understand that unless and until we have a strong belief system, we have a strong thought process, we really cannot work it out. Because we will find that when a person is being challenged with a scenario, which could be a struggle in his or her own way, which could be the kind of lifestyle he or she is going through, even during this pandemic. So we will find that all these places, something which comes to rescue is your value system and the belief system. So the belief system is like the software which we have in our system. So unless and until the software is updated, and the software can be only updated when spiritually we are active. Okay, so some people ask me that is it like being spiritual and being religious is the same thing? So I will say that, see, spirituality is something which is your existence. It is about the way how you think. It is about how you can, so how you know yourself and how you exactly give importance to your priorities. That is more important in spirituality. And if you really, because see, sometimes, you might think that how I can be religious or how I can be spiritual. So you have your cornerstone somewhere, which could be the God, the Gurudev, or maybe the spiritual, the prophet whom you believe. So something has to be a cornerstone on which your thought process will develop, which you have seen from the childhood. So if you try to strengthen that, because you probably those who are Hindu or maybe Islam, they have all read maybe in their Bhagavad Gita or Quran Sharif or Bible that killing your own self, killing your Atma is never the rescue, right? So when you kill oneself, that is one of the biggest path or the thing which we do. So, if somebody is taking a desperate action to take away his own life, even in Bhagavad Gita, it has been seen as the greatest sin. So if somebody has got the spiritual verses around us, we may be knowing or we have never read, but I would request that try to strengthen the spiritual system parallelly. Try to spend at least 10 minutes in a day when you can give your mind the kind of, the mental atmosphere. Like I give my personal example. Every day when I, start my day, I start with the chanting of some Sanskrit mantras, because since I come from a Hindu background, if somebody comes from any other background, I would request that some kind of prayers, some kind of, the spiritual activity, if you can do at least 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, it will give you the mental balance, right? I can see some
Exactly.
speakers today,
Yeah,
Reed
sure.
and Mohana, if they can say something. Hi Reed, what is your feeling as a student? What you are basically thinking about? If you can say something,
I have a
what you are getting
question.
from this discussion,
Excuse
please.
me, sir.
Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah.
How can we help our elders who we seen depressed?
Okay, that's a good question. How you can help you? Because you see, uh, kids are like, younger in family, and most of the time, whatever they say, it is being ruled out. It is being said, no, 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 you are so young, so you cannot say anything. But you should not underestimate the youngest. First of all, to all the adults who are listening to me right now, do not underestimate them. Their thoughts, their opinions are equally important like the grown-ups. So number one. Number two, you have to understand that if you are trying to help the elders, first of all, do not give your statement as an advice. Try to give your statement or your suggestions as a suggestion, and try to put this as a request to them if they can listen to you. Secondly, when you have already identified that some elder in your family or in your surrounding, they are depressed or they are really in the slightest sign of depression, try to do some activities which can engage them. Okay, because the best thing is that when you find that somebody is really quiet, that is also a sign that the person is in some deep thought. Try to engage them, try to give them some kind of mental joy, give them some kind of emotional feelings, because the biggest strength which we have is our emotional feeling. So we have to use our love and affection, we have to talk to them, we have to try to divert them into certain positive activities which are very important in life. Do you get my friend? So I think this is very important in life, and once you can do that, that will resolve this situation, right?
I have a question, which is,
Please.
I have a question. Unfortunately or fortunately, the biggest part of that question my daughter has already asked. This is a temporary phase when you are in a phase of anxiety or depression. I can fight with that, and I know very soon I will overcome. I will overcome. It is a timing phase. But my concern is this: what things bothers me when your belongings or your family members, you see them depressed because of you, like parents, wife, daughter.
Very good
If
question.
you see them,
Very good
if you see
question.
them, they are depressed because of you. So
Uh-huh.
somehow a sense of guilt is coming, a sense of I'm not able to express in words,
So
but that is
your
coming
question, your
you all
question
the
is
time.
like the final nail in the coffin. So that's a very good question. I appreciate. See, actually, when we find that people are depressed around us because of us, it's also a reason that why we are depressed. Right? So in that situation, trust me, today I might sound very optimistic and very much motivational through my speeches and all. I personally have also undergone the same phases. And I have really, even my daughter is also listening to me, Mohana. So I think you're all ears. So I have personally gone through the stages. But what I did personally and what I really do doing, that whenever you go through these stages, you have to really be very much strong in your value system and keep on speaking optimistic. Keep on working on meditation. Today is World Yoga Day. Today is World Yoga Day, 21st of June. So I really request to all the limited viewers who are listening to me, start practicing pranayam 15 minutes a day. Number two, start working on your daily activities, out of which 10 minutes should be there when you socialize with your family members. At least have frequent fun, watch movies together, go for family outing after the lockdown if possible, or if not outing, go on your rooftop, do some kind of small evening parties and morning get-togethers. Third, try to engage them for some kind of educational activities. Fourth, think innovative, think new things. Whenever you are even in your the stagnated area, or maybe the places where you are not able to go outside, you can still have some activities which you can engage yourself. And if you are engaging yourself in that way, when you are busy, trust me, the people around are also happy to see you in that way. So, why actually I'm saying this thing, because see, when I'm not doing anything, I'm locking myself in my room, or I'm sitting in the couch without talking to anyone, automatically people around will be start thinking, hey, this fellow is really thinking bad about himself. He has no job. He has got no work. But when you are busy doing a lot of research work, doing a lot of educational activities, lot of online activities, maybe you are doing some positive things around you, you do exercise, you really do yoga, so people will be happy to see that these are the optimistic behaviors. Because you should not forget that physiology triggers psychology. Suppose, for example, right now I want to have a cup of coffee. What I have to do? First, it is basically a desire. And in order to have the coffee, I have to go to the kitchen. I have to pour milk. I have to basically, hot it up. Then I have to add coffee, sugar, and then I'll have it. So it will be like physiology will ask me to go and fulfill the emotional desire, and it will be spiritually supported when I enjoy that drink. So you have to get into some activity. Yes, for others, if you can please put up your ideas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
No,
much.
I have got one suggestion. Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. All right.
Okay. So no, actually, I have been listening, and I have got one idea that somewhere I read this particular line. It's a psychiatrist from America was asked by someone that if somebody is depressed, that what medicine you are going to give. And that person thought that he would write some prescription, he would give some medication or give some medicine. But that psychiatrist said that if you are depressed, please lock your door and go to somewhere who needs your help.
Exactly.
And that will give you tremendous amount of satisfaction, and it will bring you out from your depression.
Very well.
So that is one thought. That is one thought
Very
that
well
I want to share with all of you, that if somebody needs your help, go and help, and you will be free from your depression.
Very well said. So when we see the most, the toughest phase in our life, the person who is in the most difficult situation, if we go and help that person, automatically our self-esteem will grow up. That is the point Mr. Sanjit has made, that if you can rise your self-esteem by helping someone who is more in need. So if you look around us, we'll find a lot of poor people, a lot of people who are in difficulty, in misery. and we go and help them, surely or automatically our self-esteem will go up. Thank you, Sanjit, for making a wonderful point. Mohana, you want to say something?
Yeah, one thing I can suggest. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. I can suggest one thing, like if somebody, like, sometimes we have some goals which we cannot attain. So we must always set attainable goals. A lengthy to-do list sometimes makes us too occupied, and when we cannot complete that list, we just feel like, oh my goodness, I have forgotten to do that. Oh my goodness, I could not attain that part of my job. So we must always sometimes like I can give you a normal example. We sometimes feel like clean the, so we cannot actually clean the house. So I must say, like, we can take the trash out, right? We cannot clean the whole house. It's impossible. Like one day I did, like, I must clean my bookshelves right now. But after some time I was like, oh my goodness, what's occurring to me? I just cannot complete doing this complete whole job. So we should set attainable goals, and we should also reward ourselves. We should reward our efforts. Like once I did, I was like painting a picture. So once I completed painting that picture, I felt like, no, it's not good today. So I just felt like I cannot paint anymore, and I stopped even painting from that day. Then after even when I started maybe 2 weeks after. Then I did painted a beautiful picture. Then I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, now it's good. I then rewarded myself. I sent it to all my contacts. They rewarded me, and I was again like feeling,
happy.
Yeah, now I can do it. Yeah.
Right. So again, a wonderful point. Though she's very young, but you see that we have learned something from the youngster. Thank you, Mohana. All right. So that is how we can self-reward ourselves. Rewarding oneself can also take out us from the depression. And sometimes we are giving us too much of goals. Very rightly pointed out by the junior. Yes. So when we have got too much of goals in our life, we set too much of target for ourselves, and we say that we have to do all. And many of the things which are not really possible or which are not really feasible for us. And that sometimes put us into some unnecessary stress. That is correct. Any other point somebody would like to make? Shudipto?
One more thing I would like to say, that listening to music can get you rid of you can get rid of depression easily. You should listen. You can go for classical music, or you can also go for Robin.
Do you listen to music generally?
Yeah, I do. I do listen as well as I even sing, and I really enjoy doing that. Yeah, you can do another thing also. You can do something which you enjoy really. This depression sometimes tends to push you to fatigue. So you can engage yourself doing something which you enjoy, like pursuing your hobby, your pleasure.
Correct.
And like my hobbies, one of my hobbies, listening to music, which gives me immense pleasure actually, and that's beautiful.
Perfect. Okay, any other viewers would like to say something? Yeah. Hi, Aruna.
Yes, but yeah, hi. Because she really said a very good point, listening to music. But sometimes what happens, people in depression, or whenever, if I talk about myself, if I'm in a bad mood, in a sad mood, what happens, we intend to hear to music which is basically very sad and gloomy kind of music. That is one of the very important point that we have to really
don't listen to sad music. You should always go for jovial music, which will give you pleasure. Especially this Rabindra Song, it will give you a better feel. It is really very soothing.
Exactly. And spending any time with animals is one of the another very good thing which we can do. All of us is not an animal lover, but at least if we look them from distant also, I think that can make us very happy. Because yesterday, after so many months, I had went to Juhu, and I saw a dog there, how the way he was playing in the water and how he was enjoying himself. I think this beauty of the nature and grounding is one of the very important thing if we can do. So if we go through the grounding process, I think that can help us a lot for the depression part, because not everybody is into going through the high process, high spirituality. Not everybody will get that kind of mentality all the time.
Absolutely.
But what we can always start with is grounding. So we can do it by hugging a tree. We can spend time with the animals and involve ourselves in the nature. Just by looking at the nature can also increase the hormones which lead us to happiness. So I think that is one of the point I feel so.
True, very true. Yes, Sanjit or whoever else. Any other?
Yes. Hello.
Sudipto, yes. Yeah, Sudipto, listen.
Hello, sir. This is
Yeah, this is
sir,
Devdutt, I think.
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks for organizing such a very relevant topic,
Right.
and like it was very interesting hearing you. I have a question which baffles me actually. Yeah. Person
You're not audible, Devdutt. Hello. I think we lost him. Yeah, Devdutt.
having around 1.3 million followers on Instagram. There are many people in Facebook who accounts by like how many followers I have. So that is actually a type of virtual happiness. But it's saddening to see the person who is having so much of followers was actually alone. So what's your take on virtual happiness on social media versus the real happiness? And does it have a connection with this depression?
See, the thing is that today we are living in a socialized world and we are actually often taking this as a mirage. Because when you walk in a desert, you will see that we always tend to see the oasis around us. So this virtual happiness is almost like that mirage. We often see that we are going through a desert and we see the water very near us. So many times we mistake ourselves that we have some friends around us. If you could have seen my last YouTube video on friendship, which was dedicated just 2 weeks back. So you must have seen that how exactly false identity. Most of us think that the friends around us are basically the likes and the friends who are basically existing in the social side. But the real friend is someone who is spending time with us or we are spending time with them. So we have to come out of this virtual friendship and the virtual followers, because most of the time, as you rightly said, that we are living a very lonely life. And the fact we are lonely, we are suffering from loneliness is that we are actually not expressing ourselves also. And we are not trying to take out the time when we can go to the people who really care for us. You think about this particular famous star who is so much followed by so many people, but he was not talking to his parents. He is not going to his family. He is so much busy with himself that he has created a periphery within his own world and he is locking himself within that thing. So he was in crisis. How many people in his home or in his family were claiming of his, the suspicious death, they have really with him in the last 6 months. Quickly, without taking much of your time, because I understand it's Sunday and you are all busy. So I just wanted to say that it was really nice. Devdutt really pointed out a very good question. I believe I have been able to answer him. Devdutt, are you listening?
Yeah, I just got disconnected and reconnected once again.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Rightly answered.
Rightly described. Yes, sir. Rightly answered, sir. Rightly, I got the point, sir.
Yeah. So the only thing is that we have to come out of our, the virtual friendship, and if you really can be more natural, because you see, 20 years back when we don't have so much of social sites and so much of Facebook or all these things, we are basically living a very peaceful life. Consider that this digital development is a kind of intrusion, because we are not trying to take it positively. Because I remember the first time when I become active in Facebook, my personal goal was to keep information which are related to a professional perspective or certain social activities which are really very much neutral. I am always against of giving each and every moment. Many people have the habit of taking a dish which they are going to have, they are going to prepare and give that. Some people also find satisfaction. Okay, I dressed up in a particular way, I take a peek and I take a pose and but it is actually saying that we are all, desperate of self-admiration. Okay, so somebody tells that I'm good looking, somebody tells that you are looking nice or handsome or you are looking, wonderful or gorgeous. That doesn't mean that I'm really gorgeous. Number one. Number two is that if you're really dying of the fact that if somebody is going to like my photo and like my video, like myself, then only I'll be satisfied. That also is very wrong. because I am personally a YouTuber. I always give a lot of videos in YouTube. Some people personally see that, but if somebody does not see that video, I don't have to think that my video is bad, or I basically am not being followed by people. That is also there. So it's not that I have to immediately go into depression. So I of course try to send across the information, because many times people are not informed that I've uploaded video, but this is also one of the example. Okay, so I quickly like to wrap up the video because I've overstretched the session today. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you all of you. Thank you all my viewers. We'll be back for one more interesting topic, but please do not forget the things which we have discussed today. Wish you all a lovely weekend. Stay positive, and once again talk to you for one more interesting topic back on this online knowledge forum. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.